let's get started.
All right, cool. Well, first of all, true thank you and huge appreciation for all of you guys joining us. I can
Mhm.
see one, two, three, four, five,
Let's see, there's a lot. 16.
I can see 16 people come join us here on their Wednesday evening. So I really appreciate you guys. It's so cool. Um, over here at Heart Workshop, really what you see is what you get. We are building a brand from the ground up. And part of the journey is to share that with you guys. Because one thing that I learned through my journey with Pure Sport is that really, really regular people can do kind of cool and
Mm,
profound things. All we got to do is just take one step at a time and
mm,
just keep going and don't give up. Follow your heart, be yourself, and know that there's going to be a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear, a lot of things really that don't go your way. But if you keep taking one step, no matter how small at a time, towards your vision and just following your heart, cool things can happen. And I remember I wrote this tweet actually right at the beginning of Pure Sport, and I don't really do many tweets, but for some reason I wrote this one tweet, and it was something along the lines of because I had all this insecurity and fear of like starting a business. Because to start a business, you really got to put yourself out there. Because if you don't put yourself out there, no one's going to see what you're doing, right? And in order to grow a business, you need people to see what you're doing. And I wrote this tweet that I always referred back to. And I wrote the tweet because I really meant it in my heart. I was telling myself, I was giving myself a pep talk, and I said, people invest thousands and thousands in degrees and they invest years of their time. And pure sport was my university. It was my education. And if I learned and I grew through it, then no matter what the outcome, then that venture would always be a success. And that's how I look at life. Everything that we dive into, if we learn and we grow, that's a success. And learning and growing to me is learning and growing in the understanding of who we truly are. That's the number one metric in life, to learn and to grow. I mean, learn and grow is kind of outdated. That's why I wrote in that tweet. I think to let go of and live in the knowing of who we really are. Let go of the conditioning and live in the knowing. So if anything we undertake, if that's the result or if that is the focus, then that's a beautiful part of the journey. Um, and that's what we're doing. We wear our heart on our sleeve. We're showing everything and everything because we want to, hopefully remind you guys or whoever sees it and ourselves, we can do what we put our hearts to and we can figure it out. And one person that inspires me every day and reminds me of that is this young lady who I met at Pure Sport. She came along and she was an absolute breath of fresh air. And we connected first and foremost because Issa really understood what my vision was through Pure Sport, which was to utilize this business and these products and this community as a vehicle to point people inward to the knowing of their true self. Um, and she was able to extract my vision and bring it to life through her creative direction, which was very unique and very authentic. And now we're so excited to be able to do this again.
mm.
So I want to kick off with a few
So,
questions, Issa, for you. Is there anything that you've got to say before I jump into some questions? And then, most of all, I want you guys to ask any questions that you have because
yeah.
nothing's off the table. You can
Nothing's
ask
off the
anything.
table. And I think I was gonna say, like, I don't really feel like I'm the person to do a proper introduction of myself because there's always too many things. And I feel like there's not enough time. Like I haven't yet cracked the code to being like hi, I'm Isa, and this is me. Like there's just so much to it. There's so many different like elements
I
that
think you've
all
lived a
come.
thousand lifetimes, though. We should
There's
make a
so
documentary about Issa's
there's so
life.
many different elements that
Yeah,
make me me that
yeah.
I'm like, and I do this thing where I talk to different people and I make like a different like pile of like things that make me me, but I kind of categorize it to depending on the person that I talk to.
Well,
But yeah, so I guess we'll just get started
and
with the
by the way,
question
if
from you.
you think it's weird that I'm not looking at Issa,
I know
I'm
it
seeing
seems
her. I
crazy, but
see
I
her on the
see,
screen
yes.
as I talk to her. So I'm kind of talking to you guys, and I'm seeing Issa on the screen. That's how I'm not like
But
that.
I was sitting and listening to you like this too. It's
Yeah,
something that
it's
we'll
kind
have
of
to get used to.
it's
Maybe.
sort of like we're on a Zoom with each other, but we're next to each other. Okay, all right. So, Issa, I got
Yes.
some question for you. Then we're gonna
He's
open
got
it up
some
to the
serious
crowd.
question.
Um, Explain how we first met.
Oh, that's a good one.
All the South African women in my DM that know my ex relationship, they ask me this all the time. So this is for you guys.
Me and Grayson we met when this is actually really cool. I'm from Amsterdam and I had spent a bit of time in London, but not like I was not necessarily planning on moving there. It also happened. And there was this one brand that I kept seeing pop up on my Instagram, and for some reason I was really what's the word? Like I was really
Drawn?
drawn to it. And so I was in London for a weekend and I was only there I think for 2 days and I was staying somewhere on the other end of like on the other side of London, on the other side of the city. And I was like, oh, you know what? I would like to get some of that product, but I'm not an online shopping girly, not at all. I don't like ordering anything offline online. And I messaged them and I was like, hey, do you guys have a shop? Like, are you selling in any retail stores? Like anywhere? Can I buy it anywhere offline? And then I got invited to the office, and I went all the way from I think I was in West London to Southwark to go to the office. And then there was no one. The office was closed. And then the next day, I was like, fuck, I can try again. But I'm actually like, I'm not really bothered. And I remember my friend telling me like, no, it's cool. Like it might be a brand that like you never know. Like it's a good thing to go in there if you get the opportunity to meet the people behind the brand. Like that's always a good thing to do. And then I walked in and you were there and we talked. I think we talked for like 40 minutes and
I
we
remember the door knocked and I'd been procrastinating all day and it was the afternoon. And I hear someone not open the door. I was like, hello. In the office, we had that big space and I was upstairs and I was the only one in the office at the time. It was a work from home day. But I used to always work in the office because I can't really work from home. I like
he
just
also
chilling at
doesn't
home.
work in office
Yeah, I
really.
don't really work in the office either. I just make shit up.
He just sits there.
Um, and then I was there and I just sat down because it was like 4 o'clock and I'd been procrastinating all day about writing an email or something. And I sat down and was like, fuck's sake, fuck, I'll write this email, man. And started doing it. And then this door opens and it's like, hello. And I was like, fuck no, man. In my head, I was like, fuck. And then I walked down here, but the reason I was like, fuck is because anyone and everyone that comes into Pure Sport, I give them my full presence and attention. But I was kind of like, it wasn't pissed off that someone's coming. I was like, oh, I just sat down to do this. Anyway, I walked down and then my energy shifted quickly because I was happy with who I was interacting with. But anyhow, carry on.
Yeah, well, it was nice, and I remember it being refreshing, and I remember it was such a cool moment for me because I didn't know what it was that drew me to the brand because all I kept seeing was like videos of people putting some like deodorant kind of product on their calves before running. And I was like, this looks interesting, but I keep seeing it everywhere. And then obviously I clicked onto the page and I've seen like I was seeing what they were up to and I was really into running at the time. So it just made sense for me to kind of tap into and to see what they were all about. And yeah, and it was just so refreshing. Like we had a really open conversation and we talked about I think we already like very early on touched on that it wasn't necessarily about the products, but it was the bigger picture that you had with the brand and what you were actually trying to get, through to the crowd and the people that were mainly tapping into the product, but then obviously eventually like also tapping into the bigger what's the word? The bigger story.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was just really, really refreshing. And I remember walking away and I got some goodies and I bought some stuff and I went back to the hotel and I was like, wow, this is a really, really cool brand. And if I ever get the opportunity to work with them in any way, I would really like to explore that. And yeah, that was my first time meeting you.
Yeah. And then about a few months later, we shot with a lot of people within our community, often like in real life environments and moments, which was part of our ethos. We would shoot real people and they'd wear our kit and they'd utilize our products in real environments that they would be in themselves and we would be interacting with them and we'd shoot. And one of the guys that we often shot with right from the very beginning, my very first pure sport apparel was a guy named Jay Revan.
Good friend.
Um, and he's such a cool dude. And
Shout out
yeah,
Jay.
shout out to Jay.
He was
And
really there from the early
Issa and
days.
Jay and a group of other friends used to do some training together. And Jay messaged James Dollar and said, I'm going to be down at the track. I know you guys are dropping some new apparel. Do you guys want to come down and shoot me and Issa? She's over from Amsterdam. We're going to do a track session. And James hit me up and I was like, yeah, that's so perfect, man. We've got these new pink running singlets that are coming out, these half tights. We've got the Tomcat Alley supplement. Let's get down there and shoot, like get them in the kit and shoot some stuff with them. Um, and that's what we did. And we went down and Issa was there and we just hung out. And then we were actually hiring for a content creator. And Issa said, hey, I'll create some pieces of content just in my own time for you guys. And if you like the style, I'd like to put
Mm.
myself forward for the role. And she went away and created some really cool stuff. And the whole team loved it. And then I handed it over to Robbie, who was the commercial director who was hiring for the role. And I put my recommendation in, and then Issa got hired for the job. And then quickly, within like a few months, you went from a content creator to pretty much the creative director. You revamped the website. You did our email marketing. Uh, you,
I shot all
yeah,
campaigns. I
creative
directed
directed
all
shot
campaigns. Yeah,
campaigns. It was cool.
everything.
So she did a really good job. And here we are now. So, what was your favorite memory at Pure Sport?
Tough, but it has to be my first. I feel like it has to be my first day. I think it was my first day on the job, and you were doing this event with which was like the 3 year. Was it a 3 or 2 year
Oh yeah, yeah,
anniversary?
yeah. The second
Oh,
birthday
the
of Run Club.
second
I think it was second
birthday.
or third
Yeah,
birthday.
I think it was the second, and it was called. We were doing like a sexy mile, and everyone was gonna run their fastest mile.
Mm. The context here is the universal running phrase for slow and steady pace in the running world is known as sexy pace. That's
Sexy
like just
pace.
like a universal running term. For like when you're going for a jog with your friends, it's like what pace we're gonna go. I'll go
Sexy
sexy pace.
pace.
It just means you can chat, you can chill. So we always utilize that at Pure Sport Run Club. And so when we did the birthday party, we called this event the Sexy Mile, and we're putting people in teams, and they were going to do a mile relay or something like that. It was a fun event.
It was a really fun event.
Yeah.
And I remember that I was like, I want to do something that is, like kind of grasp, like captures the energy that is like when you do a big event like that. There were a lot of people. And I decided to go around and interview everyone with one of those tiny mics.
Oh yeah,
And
that was cool.
and it was like quite I think it was at the beginning of they are having like they had a good time, the
Yeah.
tiny mics. Like I've seen them everywhere. And it was quite a new thing at the time. And then and I remember being a bit shy, like around the team and not really like having anyone that I would like get along with very well. And then I just went out and I started talking to everyone and filming everyone, and I ended up running my fastest mile. Also,
Yeah. That was probably my favorite reel of Pure Sport. We'll share it somewhere.
we'll
I'll
share
I'll
it
share
somewhere.
it on like my Instagram or something for you guys to see later. That was a cool reel.
But yeah, it's a good memory because it was such a good way for me
Mm.
to kind of like, get familiar with Pure Sport and the Run Club, which was such a big part of the company. and the people around it. And yeah, it was really, really nice. It was such a good day.
Yeah, we got Alexander raised his
Oh
hand.
yeah, I
I feel his
see.
question's gonna be way better than
Yeah.
mine. All right, go,
Are
go.
we ready? I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, so I forgot I got my mouse right here, so I don't have to. All right.
How we doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Yes.
Hey
Yay.
guys, it's nice to see you again. Awesome that you guys are doing this more often. I have a very super simple question.
Okay.
How long after initially meeting through Pure Sport professionally did this is an intimate question, but when did a spark happen? How long did it take for you guys to meet and then figure out, oh no, I like this guy or I like her, you know?
I kind of like that you're the one to ask this question. I'm very happy. Yeah.
So I was in a relationship and I had been always loyal in my relationship. So for me, but my relationship was coming to an end for a reason, you know, it had run its course. Um, and when I felt an attraction that was of interest more than like a friendship to Issa, that was the first time I had had an experience like that. That's when I was like, shit, like what I've been trying to avoid or escape or not face, it's kind of like becoming clear, you know, like I got to do the thing that's fucking hard and scary to do in the long-term relationship. Um, so yeah, when that became clear, and we were just spending a lot of time together working on the brand, and you know, like I think
Well, I remember there was a day like we obviously got along very well. And we had there was such a good working dynamic. And I remember like that was my priority. And we were always like, that was our number one priority. We worked together really well and we're having such a good time, you know, being around each other. But from also a professional point, he's never had anyone in his corner like me who was able to, you know, like bring his
it was
ideas
so
to life.
refreshing because I cannot explain when you have a vision, but I don't have any specific skill set. Like I don't like when it comes to business. I'm not particularly good at anything. Like I just at Pure Sport, I just had a vision. With Hart Workshop, I just had a vision, and I didn't even find them. They've come to me. Pure Sport came to me because
Mm.
of my sports career, my injuries, my reliance on painkillers, my being so sick of taking them, asking myself the question, there has to be another way, becoming present, slowing down enough, exploring life to then realign to nature. And then the insight comes, I want to create this product for me and my fellow athletes and utilize that to show the world like we don't need to rely on quick fixes and pharmaceuticals and utilize that as a pointer inward to a deeper understanding. Heart Workshop come to me during the hardest time of my life after leaving Pure Sport, feeling alone, feeling lost, unsure what to do. Rather than seeking for a distraction or a fix, I just slowed down. I went out into nature. I started moving intuitively as a byproduct. And through that, I started wearing bare feet, which realigned my posture, which re-engaged my feet, which allowed my whole energy system to recalibrate when your posture's in line and you're in flow with your movements. Healed some of my joints that had been giving me issues for so long. Went back to wearing shoes again. I was like, fuck, I can't wear these shoes. And I don't like wearing shitty shoes. So I got to make some cool shoes because I literally spent thousands trying to figure it out, buying like just shoes, but there was none that I liked that were ergonomically beneficial and look cool. So I think what was so refreshing for me, because when you're growing a business and you don't have a particular skill for yourself, but you have a vision, so you're working in your, I guess my skill was to work with people to bring my thing to life,
Mm.
to try to pass the message on and
Yeah, you definitely
relentlessly,
have a good thing going. Like you're very articulate. You
yeah.
know how to word what you want.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it was just such a cool thing for us to be able to work together and to bring whatever you had in your head to bring that to life. And I think I definitely prioritized that over exploring anything other than that in the beginning. And to answer your question, I do remember a day where Grayson told me, and he came to me, and we would get coffee sometimes during our breaks, or we would go outside for a walk, and then he told me that he had broken up. And that was kind of for us the start where we were like, well, we don't necessarily have to jump into anything, but that obviously like opened up some.
There's clearly something there.
Yeah, so from there we were kind of like slowly exploring like what it means, like do you necessarily want to, after a long relationship, do you right away want to jump in or dive into something else? But yeah, we from there we just started exploring that, and we would spend a lot of time outside in the park, and doing our picnics. Yeah, we had a beautiful summer. It was a really, really cool
Yeah.
time, good time of my life.
Yeah. And I think to find someone who understands the essence of where you're coming from and why you're so passionate about. Like, to be honest with you, man, I don't really like business that much. Like the mainstream concept of business, like selling stuff and making money and value of like shares and like all of that. I love sharing my love and heart and passion to the world. And I see business like, life has given me opportunity to utilize business as a vehicle to do that. Like I always said to people at Pure Sport, like if I had my time here, I wouldn't take any investment and I wouldn't have shareholders because it just becomes too, particularly for a first-time founder who doesn't operate that way. But I used to say to them all the time, I would say, I would give shares away. I'd be like, I don't care about the shares. If I get paid a salary to do this and connect this meaning with people, I'm so fucking happy. I love this. I get to build a rank, I get to design apparel, I get to create campaigns, I get to design products that I would use, that I feel passionate about, that I know work. Uh, and I get paid, fuck yeah. I'm like, you can have, I'll give the shares away. People be like giving me advice. They're like, you shouldn't give that away. I was like, I don't care. Now later down the line, you figure out, oh yeah, that kind of fucks things up a bit. Because when you got too many people at the table with too many shares, it makes things complicated to stay true to the vision, right? But I don't, even this with Heart Workshop, I'm like, the thing I would be in my bed some days post Pure Sport when I left, and after the thing that I would have, I'd cry some mornings because I'd wake up and I'd be like, what am I going to commit my energy to? Like, what am I going to pour my heart into? Because I don't have the things that excited me that I love doing anymore. Um, and I didn't know what the answer was. But life showed me pour your energy into understanding who you really are, because your value, your um, purpose is not derived from a business or a product or a community or a job, you know. And so I had to sit still with that discomfort and I turned it inward to see who I really was. Um, but to have someone, for me, it felt like the first person that I got to work with that really understood who I was and what I was doing. And I can't actually tell you enough after 5.5 years of doing that and feeling very alone and feeling very frustrated why often, what I was trying to do wouldn't be understood, or it'd go over people's heads, or it would only be part understood. And I was constantly having to try to like weave what I was doing and what it was about through everything when people were trying to do it on the mainstream way of business, and to have someone come along whose job was to implement my vision onto reality. It was just such a fresh breath of fresh air. And now I understand why Issa got there, because the love for the vision was an aligned love. It was an understanding of each other. you know. So yeah, but it's cool to be back creating and expressing it. And Jordan, I see you got your hand up. Let's go to you.
Well, thank you,
How do I do that?
Alexander.
Yeah, good. Hey, good to see you. Come
Well,
back anytime, Alexander.
come back anytime, please. Sorry. Remove spotlight. I am adding the spotlight. Hello.
Wait, he's still muted.
Yes.
Still muted.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
cool. Yeah, a couple of questions. First one is, what's the biggest thing that you've learned from each other? It's obviously working with your partner. It's an interesting dynamic. I grew up in a family business. My parents worked together.
Oh,
Seen a
really?
lot of ups and downs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing is obviously you talked about not really liking to buy products online. I'm the same.
Mhm.
But with some brands, obviously, you don't have a choice. But what is the plan to bring the brand to life and I suppose bring it into physical spaces?
Wow, two really, really good questions. Should we start with the first one?
Okay, so the thing, what say the question
What the
again for
thing
me,
you've
Jordan? The
learned.
thing I've learned the most from Issa.
Yeah.
Okay, great
Yeah,
question. Jordan,
Sorry,
good to see you,
I need
brother.
some time to think
good
about
to see you as
Favorite
well.
bros in the DMs. Yeah. So the thing I've learned from Issa is the profound reality of watching someone do something that they're not got experience or specific expertise in, and literally just figuring it out and
Mm,
doing it. Like, and it's a constant reminder to me that we're all capable of whatever we want to do if we're willing to figure it out. Um, and I know that is true for myself, but I'm just not as good and consistent at it as Issa is. Like for example, like figuring out how to get the world's first certified and batch tested
yeah, you did
cannabis
that.
products. I just fucking continued going after it till I figured it out.
Mm.
But there's not that many things in my life that I do that with. Like if something breaks in the house, I'm like, hey, fuck, I'll call the handyman, you know. But but then for example, then making these shoes, I'm studying the
Yeah,
makeup
everything.
of a shoe and the way humans walk and but for me it's like when I go there and I'm all in. Issa shows me that that capacity is possible in anything and everything. Like she reverse engineers things. She designed our whole website. She does email marketing. Like when I was at Pure Sport, I had a team of 20 people doing all the shit that Issa just does on her own now. Like, and obviously it grew to a group of 20, but like even at this point in the journey, like I was having to pay people from all different like in areas of expertise to do all these things. And every day Issa shocked me because I'm like, okay, I fucking need to figure that out. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna check and see. And the next thing she's just doing it.
Mm.
So her ability to apply herself, reverse engineer, and then do it like that to me is fucking cool, man. Because I feel I'm quite lazy. I don't really
No,
like
so
doing
I don't
shit.
think that's true. And I think what I wanted to say about you, I'm changing my answer, by the way. I am what I was gonna say about you is that one thing I learned from Grayson and it's there all the time. Like it's such a beautiful reminder. I don't know anyone who lives life as presently as in the moment as this guy. Like there's honestly, uh there's no agenda, there's no calendar, there's no like he wears a watch, but he has no idea what time. It's all an illusion anyway. Like he's just doing his thing. He's like, oh, it's the sun is out, I'm going to the beach. Oh, it gets dark, I'm going to find something to eat. Like he's so intuitive and there's no rules. Like his life is just his playground. And I think living with someone like that and then doing business with someone like that, I've been my whole life I love being organized. I love like no one ever needed to tell me to clean my room. my room was clean. Like I would wake up in the morning and organize my room. Everything was in the exact same spot. Like everything was exactly where I wanted it to be. And then living with someone like Grayson it's showing me, but it's reminding me that, it's not really, it's honestly, it's not really that deep. Like it's a good structure for me and I know it works for me, but sometimes he reminds me to, like not like let it go. It's not that important if it doesn't, if an item is misplaced or if you can't find something that you always keep in the right spot or, like it's not that deep. And I do sometimes get carried away, and just being with you and being around you and spending so much time with you, like it's always such a beautiful reminder for me to, like to, yeah, it's not all that serious, and it's everything is happening right now. So for me to always be in my head and be worried about what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after or the next week, like that's not where it's at. So yeah.
That's a good team then.
Yeah.
Issa shows me that it's the possibility to apply ourselves to things and get them done is right in front of us and accessible all the
Yeah.
time. And I'm a reminder to just
Yeah.
be.
And it's not about being lazy because that's what he was trying to say. But I see in him that when there's something that he really wants, like he'll like move mountains to get it. And I don't think it's about being lazy. It's just being, like applying yourself to something that your heart feels like it's
Yeah,
the right thing to do.
I think it's right. My bro Stuart sent me a great message reminding me words have power and like we
Yeah.
should understand that. Lazy was probably not the right description, and that's actually old conditioning.
Mm.
Because I remember growing up in school and the
Yeah.
teachers, when I wasn't keen to apply myself to things that just didn't fucking matter or make sense to me to bother applying myself to because I want to leave myself, my intuition was to leave myself open to express myself in the ways that were true to me.
Mm.
The teachers would say, "Oh, you're lazy," or "You're not doing your work," or whereas in fact, like, yeah, it's true. When
Let's be
when
honest
I
as
want to
well.
do something,
Sorry, I was just going to say, like, some of the stuff we do day to day in work is it's just
Mm.
fucking pointless, isn't it? Do you know what I
Yeah.
exactly,
mean?
yeah,
Like you're saying before about procrastinating over that email. I'm the same. I work from home, so
mm,
Yeah.
you have a lot of time to think about what you're going to do.
yeah,
When it needs doing, you just do it. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
exactly.
that's
And one thing that life has showed me is, you know, if you're striving and you're seeking for an outcome relentlessly, you're most of the time you're just busy being
Mm.
busy.
Yeah.
When you're open and you're free and you're coming from an expression of abundance rather than a seeking for more on the behalf of insecurity and scarcity, then you know it's a completely different ballgame. You open yourself up to seeing and doing an action that comes from spontaneous
Yeah.
insight rather than recycled concepts and ideas. And all of the coolest things that have transpired, I can honestly say like I didn't figure it out. It just came from a
Mm.
moment of openness to life. And that's within us all because life and the essence of life, it's one
Yeah.
consciousness. So if it's possible, it's possible, you know. Um, but yeah, that was a cool question. And then
Yeah, it was a
what
cool
was the
question.
second bit?
basically how do you plan on bringing the brand to life in a
It's a
physical
good
space?
question.
So yeah, so obviously, yeah, I bought the carp. I've ordered
Yeah.
another couple of carps.
Yeah,
But obviously, like the shoe's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
Like the thought, I mean, yeah, I've
Well,
already
and
decided I'm going to buy some, but you want to touch something like that,
exactly.
and
I
yeah,
think of
so
all products, like the shoes are definitely the most important. Like I have never bought any shoes online. I think I want to go, I want to try them on. I'm very picky with my shoes. I wear my shoes like a size and a half too big. It needs to sit nicely. It needs to feel good. I'm the same. And I think what my answer to the question. And it's also a thing that I feel like I feel very responsible for, taking on such a big part of the creative direction of the brand. I remember coming to Pure Sport and they had a website with all renders on it. None of the products on the website were actually real. and they were selling this like beautiful like philosophy and this like about being real and authentic and original, but their whole website was full of photoshopped products. And that was my first thing like that I wanted to really tackle, that I was like, well, every piece of content that you put out of your brand, it needs to feel aligned and true to what you're bringing to life. And then we're not only talking about online branding, like everything that happens on the internet and social media, but a big part of that is also offline branding. And we're going to be back in London soon. And I know we're actually planning on doing a lot of community activities and some activations around footwear.
Yeah, pretty much when I had this idea, I started writing things down. And some of the things I wrote down were like, I want to build this brand between London, New York, Tokyo, Korea, Seoul, and back in my hometown,
Seoul.
Auckland. Um, and I want to do activities like I want to bring people together. I want to explore collectively what it means to realign with our true nature, through intuitive movement, through breathing, through understanding, through conversation, through hiking, through being in nature.
Even like arts and crafts and
Yeah,
doing things with your
utilizing
hands
our
and
hands
being
again,
present,
food.
like
Um, so yeah, like, we got some ideas. We've done a couple of in-person events already where we've brought
the
the
prototypes.
prototypes along. I've got an idea to start a Heart workshop movement club. Hello. And get some Heart workshop for kids too, because kids got to keep their feet good. Yeah, make sure you wear your bare feet every day. Um, so yeah, we're gonna do pop-ups, get a consistent community going, and just figure it out from there, man.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. Good to
you.
see you.
Cheers. Thank you.
I think Roman had a question.
Yes, I've seen Roman. Here you are.
Yo, what's up? You
And
guys can hear me okay?
I'll add you to the
Yeah,
top.
we can hear you.
I can
Sweet
hear
as.
you. Sorry, I'm also figuring screen out. We're here. Yes, we got
Okay. You guys kind of answered my question a little bit already. But kind of the idea of like your daily routines around all the workload and things. I know you guys are working completely on yourself and you guys don't have a boss. You guys don't have, you're doing pretty much what you want. How are you guys able to like stay on track and are you guys pretty much freestyling everything at the moment? And
Wow.
and
Yeah, good question. I was actually, I felt like there was some things left unsaid in my previous answer or in the previous question. Um, because yeah, one thing about me is that I'm organized, and then I love to plan things ahead, and I actually love to make sure that I do things when they're being asked of me. Um, and then, so I try and make time to every day sit down, go through emails, go through like social media. I have a behind the scenes, like we have a whole calendar, like content plan, strategy plan. We have a collective mood board. Sometimes we just shoot ideas to each other. And I try to at least every day commit like 1 or 2 hours to sit down to kind of like filter all of that and make sure that we're, like keeping track of our ideas and kind of streamlining that process for both me and Grayson. But a lot of our life, like our personal life and Hart workshop overlaps. Like it's all in the same. Sometimes we lie in bed at night and he's like, "Oh, I've got a great idea. This is what we have to do." And then I'm like, "Oh, not now." Like it's always. And which is also, it's fun because he'll bring something up and I am then obviously able to execute it like almost right away. So that's been such a cool dynamic for us to work.
Mm.
And now we're slowly building things up where we've introduced Heart to Heart. We hope to, do this on a more structured basis, but we're not really trying to set any expectations for any one of us. We just kind of like to be open about it and see how it comes. But then when we do something like this, there needs to be a flyer, there needs to, there needs to be the right social media content, there needs to be emails. So that stuff brings a lot of work for me.
Yeah, I think I've never been good with structure. Like it doesn't come naturally to me to be structured. I I just I just figure it out as I go. Um, but I think what I've gotten much better at via my experiences at Pure Sport is knowing, like, trusting what to apply myself to and what to say no to and leave out. Um, and yeah, I think right now, it's a pretty challenging time for me because um the shoes, the designs are developed and agreed, and now it's like the logistical elements of getting the first order placed, which is rather challenging because there's so many different moving parts to that. Soles, Vibram soles, some of them are made in Italy, some of them are made in China, the leather, the materials, the lasts, the boxes, the sizing breakdown, all these things. Um, so figuring all that out, and then I had to shift the factory because the factory that we're working with, the final prototypes, I just wasn't happy with, and it came to the conclusion that actually they weren't as sort of able to be innovative and adaptive as we would have liked them to have been. So they could have created a good quality shoe to start with, but where we want to go and evolve the brand to it, it's no use building a foundation with um, a manufacturer that wasn't able to come on that journey with us. So I've had to go. That's why there's been delays with the launch of the shoes. So a lot of my time now is going on calls, sending follow-ups, messages. I've obviously been back and forth to Italy and Portugal, meeting with different manufacturers and stuff. But and then I'm working hard on a clothing line, to kind of provide what I would call like a uniform for a functional, seamless way of life. So we can have less things but more functional for every occasion. Um, and it's tough, man, because it's tough because I want things to happen quickly, and every time I get a sample back, if it's not perfect, I beat myself up or I get frustrated, and then I remember it's a reminder to be, um, like, surrender to what is rather than try to fix things. If something's not worked out the way you would have liked it, that's how it is. You need a result. You need to figure that out now. So, yeah, man, it's challenging, but it's also beautiful because, like, you get to create something and you get to work with people and you get to share that vision, you get to learn things, you get to bring it to life. And then you also get the lessons from life that shit's not going to go to plan because the plan's made up in the first place. So it's being open to adapt. So yeah, I think, like, for me at the moment it's challenging because it's like it could be any time of the day. I got to follow up someone, in a different part of the world, or get on a call, or figure out a solution to something. It's a lot of problem solving. Um, and then, yeah, Issa's just doing a brilliant job bringing things to life creatively and applying yourself to that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Heart to the moon. Whole
Yeah,
Heart
Yeah.
Workshop.
thanks,
Beyond.
Roman. It's a
I
great
love your shit,
feedback.
guys. Keep it going for real. It's
Thank
insane.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you for your question.
Appreciate it.
All right, Riley. I've seen Riley up there for a while now.
Yeah,
I'm here. What's up,
yeah,
guys?
Riley. What's
Yeah.
up, man?
How are you?
Good.
First off, thanks for just existing in this space, both of you, because I think it's so refreshing to have people like yourself doing what you're doing and creating products that are from the heart, it seems like. So
Mm.
thank you. Question is more, Issa, you mentioned Grayson, he lives in the moment and he's so present, and you feel like he's more that way than anybody you've ever met. I think a lot of people try that, but they struggle with that. So I was just curious, Grayson, like what tactics or things have you learned that have helped you do that? And maybe Issa, what have you learned from him in that way? And how has it spoken through in your creative direction or progress that you've made towards your products you're making?
Okay. Oh, I feel like I want to answer this question for you. Sorry, I can't help
Go
myself
ahead.
because do you know kids in their true essence, like in their truest, purest form, like a kid, like a young, like they can be 3, 4 years old, whatever. If they want something, they'll get it. Like no matter like the tools they'll have, they'll use them to be like, feed me, or I'm sore, I'm hurt, or whatever it is that they need to communicate, they'll find a way. And they're just so present. There's nothing holding them back. And life is just like it's them, like that's what they're doing. There's nothing else. There are no worries, there are no tomorrows, they're literally just there. And I think like a lot of people, like when they grow up, they're around people, they go to school, they go through all these systems that like kind of like take, like um bits and pieces of that like essence away from them and condition them into, like doing like even, I don't know, just surviving through a day when when you get to the age of 25, um you might have so many of those things like stuck to you that you've got from other people, or that you've got from the teachers in school telling you to shut up, to sit still, to not do this, to not be annoying, la di da. And
They make you think what you're doing is wrong almost.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
look at Grayson and I'm like, damn it, they really tried, but no one got to you. You're still that kid. You're just so innocently, so pure, so like no one's ever told, like no, they've tried to probably, but no one's ever gotten through to you, and you're just still that kid. That's what I feel is the case. And it's not about him learning to be, in my opinion, to be this way. I feel like he's just never been anything else. Sorry.
Amazing.
Great answer. Thank you.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it.
No, I mean, for me, it's like, because the thing is, it's not, I'm not doing nothing different than anyone else. Like, I'm the same, like, we're all the same. Like, I have moods and insecurity and seeking and attachments and fear. But the thing that life has shown me over and over and over is they are not me.
Mm.
And the more I get involved in those and try and fix them and get absorbed in them, the more they stick about and the more they seem to bog you down. And then when I realized that there's a stillness within us all that's observing, that all experiences, like all perceptions, all thoughts, all feelings, all circumstances arise within. And that stillness stays the same. It has been the same since I can remember anything. If I go inward and ask myself, who am I? It takes me to the background, the stillness that observes everything. I crack up to myself, man, because I'm a 36-year-old man. And I live like a grown up. Like I pay my bills, I pay my taxes, I do right by the rules of society and shit. I've created businesses. I played professional rugby for 14 years. Like you gotta fucking apply yourself to that shit. Um, but the truth is, if I go inward to the observing background, it's the fucking exact same observing background as when I was like 3 or 4 years old, since I can recall even having an experience. So what it shows me is that is who we are. The changing elements, they come and go.
Mm.
But we have been taught in this society that we are the thinking, the feelings, the circumstances, that we're defined by the edges of this so-called physical body. But one of the coolest things by going inward and exploring the true nature of who we are, in a dream, there's a character that you are within a dream. And then in the morning you wake up and you're like, that was a dream. That took place within me, within my mind, so say we call it. But if you really observe your day-to-day experience, it's also a dream. because you are the observer of the character that's playing out within the dream we call the waking state. And it's the same observer. And my observer is your observer. It's one. That's why dudes like Bob Marley said one love. That's why the sages and the profound prophets, they always talk about one essence. Now, like religion has come along and taken these concepts and turned them into like a concept. They've taken these pointers that these people, these prophets, these sages, these people were pointing to from love to love, and religions and these things have conceptualized them, and they've become for hierarchy or whatever it is. But like, if we take those pointers for ourselves and explore inward to see who we are, there's actually no edge between me and you in our being, in our essence. And if there's no edge, then what's taking place within me is made of me. So therefore, there's nothing to fear. Fear is for the idea of separation. So that exploration, and it's a simple exploration because it's not something that I've figured out that no one else knows for sure. I don't know, like for some reason along the way, when I seeked happiness and security and validation in the material world, I actually achieved my fucking childhood goal, which I literally believed was going to make me so happy, so fulfilled, which was to be a professional rugby player. I grew up in New Zealand. We love rugby, man. Like that shit was my dream. And I got a contract at the age of 19 for the team that I had posters on my wall. I was in the changing room with my idols, dudes that I'd grown up watching. I was going out to bars and nightclubs, and girls were coming up to me like, "Oh my God, hey!" I was driving a fucking sports car. I had all this shit that I thought was gonna make me so happy and fulfilled, because I was this kid that grew up with fucking nothing, and told I was a failure, and told I was useless, and told I was lazy, and told I was gonna be a fucking criminal or a drug addict. I achieved my dream, but I believed that dream was going to make me happy, and it didn't. So then I was like, what the fuck is life about then? And don't get me wrong, I didn't straight away turn inward. I seek things more in the material world, girls, drugs, alcohol, money, like trying to figure shit out, like, hey, but then what? Then what? And all I did was exhaust myself and become less happy, less content, more confused, to the point where it's like, there's got to be something that I'm missing here, something that someone's not telling me. And I turned inward and I sat with it and I explored what was the essence of who I am. And then I saw that is the thing that we're all looking for. And it's not to be found out there. And then when we make that the focal point of our life, all that external shit takes care of itself. When I get caught up in insecurity, which I do every day, that what I saw never has left me. And I just say, who am I? I go to the essence and I say, here and now is who I am. That's complete. Allow life to unfold. And then insight arises, or letting go, or surrender. And it's a constant, it doesn't end. It's an ongoing part, it's life. And I believe, and I know for certain in my experience, life is an opportunity and a series of challenges and circumstances to turn up to point us back inward. And the constant challenges, the mind, the ego, the idea of separation is telling us the answer will be found in the world. But the truth is, it's found here and now within us by just seeing and observing and facing it and not trying to fix shit. Because you know how profoundly different an experience a circumstance can be when you're trying to fix it from the idea of separation and fear and insecurity and ego, compared to going inward and observing from stillness. The whole thing shifts.
Yeah. I feel like you hit the nail on the head too with there are a lot of people, and I see this happen a lot being around someone like Grayson and being, a big part of his life. is that people they tend to come up to him with questions, like expecting him to give them one answer to kind of like point them into the right direction, and then it will all go from there, like, and which they don't realize that they're still seeking, like, and trying to fix something that it's literally as simple as like letting go, sitting back and observing and being like, I feel for myself, I was never able to put any words to these. Like, I feel like I've lived my life very much in tune, like very much around the same essence. But I was never able, like, I never read the books that Grayson would read, or like, I've never read or heard about non-duality for that matter. So I feel like it was something that always came quite like natural to me. And then now I'm learning more and more like about the terms and about, like the pointers and things that people or that you call concepts, but the what it actually is. Like, I think it can be so helpful to have all those tools, but you don't, like, they're all pointers, they're just reminders, they're not actually there to fix anything that is wrong with you. And I think that is the most important thing. And I think that is the only chance, like the only thing that you need to figure it out for yourself.
All I'd say, man, is in any time that it occurs, don't try to seek it.
And fix.
Any time that it occurs, ask yourself, what is it that is aware of my experience? What is it that is aware of my thinking? And you can't, the funny thing about it is you can't go to it because you are it. So like you can't, like your eyes can't see themselves, they're just seeing. Your being is just being. But we're so conditioned to believe that we are our thinking that we therefore overlook our essence, and our essence is the very thing we're all looking for. And you can't find it, you just be it. So
that's it.
you can probably hear the passion I have for that question.
Yeah, no, thank you Paul.
We'd
I
still
really
be
appreciate
here
it.
in the morning.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yo,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I know
Thanks,
you
Con.
had
All right.
another follow-up, or I thought there was another question attached, but we're
I
gonna
mean, there's other people with hands, so I want
Yeah,
to
we're
make
gonna
sure
go
everyone
to
gets a
Colin.
Keep your
shot.
hand up
So
if you have another question, Riley.
no, you're good. Yeah, for sure.
All
Thank you.
right, thank you. All right, Colin. Colin, you've been there for a while.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
Hi.
Hi. Quick question, and it's for both of you guys. And it's just you guys mentioned a couple times, like, be yourself. Like, what would you say is, or how do you know that you are yourself? And what are some of the, I guess, signs that you see that you're going towards that? Does that make sense?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Real good. You're very good at being yourself.
I don't know, I feel like I've always had I know that there are things that, like make me happy, or like there are things that kind of like, feel good and feel aligned, or feel like with what I would want to do from my heart. And I know that there's also things that I do that make me feel bad. Like, for example, if I eat shit that's literally bad for my body, like if I, like if I'm craving, or if I'm eating 2 or 3 croissants a day, which I had times in my life where I would do that.
Croissant monster.
I'm the croissant monster. But I think there are like, in my case, there are only like little things that I find, like when I'm in a good place, when I would describe it like myself, is when I do the things that, like come from my heart. And right now I do feel like I'm in a place where that's like everything I do. I'm currently not working for anyone. Like, I don't have a contract, I don't have a boss, I don't have anyone telling me what to do. I dress how I want, I eat what I want, I do what I want, I live where I want. We're in Spain right now. Like, I have not been in a place, I think, in the past, definitely in the past like 5 years of my adult life, like I've not been in a place where I felt like I wasn't doing me. So I cannot really, I think, explain it in a better way.
Isha's like a wild horse. You don't let the shackles of the concepts of life hold her down. say the start of the question again, because it always brings out a fresh answer for me if I hear the question.
Yeah, just how do you know that you're on a path or like the signs that you are yourself? Because obviously we all know, th good things that we like or make us happy, but how do you really know that like you're going into the direction that you are
Okay,
yourself?
got you. The most natural thing in the universe is you being yourself.
The rest will feel like
Anything else is unnatural. Like for you to not be yourself comes with a form of like tension or agitation or fear or seeking. Um, so all I would say is just observe, like in the moments where and by the way, being yourself, there'll still be conditioning like fear and thinking and ideas of, you got to go do this and that and fix this and that. Because yourself is the observing energy in which it all arises. So I like to use the like example of a ice bath. Like if you jump in an ice bath, you know that feeling that we're like it's when it first hits you and like your first reaction is to want to like tense up and resist it to protect yourself. And then you realize, the only way for this to be okay is to surrender, to let go of resistance. And you are dropping into being one with your direct experience. And the chatter of your voice in your head, it doesn't actually stop. You just don't pay attention to it. You just don't give it credit to do the things that it's saying, which is, nah, you need to get out or fucking tense up and then you observe and then you'll start to notice really more intricate tensions within you. Like you'll be like, my feet are tensing up, or my neck's a bit tense, even though I've surrendered to the experience, or my hands are a bit tense. Um, so when you observe from the being of yourself, you'll just start to notice like when you're seeking or when you're resisting because there'll be little signposts just from life that that's what's happening. And then all that those little signposts are, they're not wrong, they're perfect little reminders. Just be you. So like when I was away, when I first left Pure Sport, after a while, I went traveling on my own and with some friends and saw my family. And I spent a lot of time out in nature, and that's when I started moving much more intuitively and like living much more in the moment. And my expressions became a lot more intuitive. And I used to have resistance towards, say, like taking my shirt off in public on a sunny day. And my dad, for example, when I was growing up, he always used to have his shirt off and he didn't care and no one minded. And then, so I was used to be like, why do you care? Like, why do you get so insecure about having your shirt off in public? And I had this idea in my head, like, because maybe, like I played rugby and I've gone to the gym and I have a, reasonably muscular build. So I was like, I had this idea in my head, which was conditioning, which said, oh, like, it's arrogant to have your shirt off and people are going to think you think you're the man if you got your shirt off. Whereas actually, I just fucking really like feeling the sun on my skin. I enjoy it. It's a nice feeling. And that's the truth. So when I was living much more intuitively, like I'd take my shirt off in public or I'd be wearing bare feet all the time. And then I would notice that voice in my head being like, oh, but they're going to think this of you, or these people think you're fucking crazy because you're walking around in a cafe with your bare feet. And then because I had become much more drawn to the coming from the observer rather than living in my head, when those little tensions would come, I would observe and notice them. And then the practice was just letting go. And the more I let go, it was like being in the ice bath. Every time you tense up, you're like, surrender. And the more I do that in these moments where I was, getting up in my head, then I would let go. And then the more I'd realize you can do whatever you want because the true you is love. The true you is an expression of love. So walking around with your shirt off or walking around with bare feet, no one's got a problem with it when you are being you as your true self. And even if they do, for example, I was playing golf on fucking one of the fanciest golf courses in all of England, and I was wearing my bare feet, and no one had ever seen a man playing golf in bare feet on that golf course. And this dude came out to tell me off. And I realized what was happening. He was walking over to me from the clubhouse. And I felt this tension going like, oh fuck, you're in trouble. Like, oh no, like what's happening now? And then I realized within the moment of him walking by, I go, all you can do is drop into yourself and be you because you know the truth. Nothing is the problem here. You're walking in nature in your bare feet. It's a concept. Everything else is a concept. I dropped into my being. I was like, hey, how's it going, mate? This is it. And I wasn't trying. I was just being myself. I go, hey, he walked over to me. He's like looking at me angry. I was like, mate, this is a fucking beautiful golf course you got here, man. I love it. And he goes, oh, you enjoying it? I go, fuck yeah. This is the nicest golf course I've ever played at. And he was like, well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your round. I was like, thank you so much. And then he walked away. He kind of looked at my bare feet and he walked off. He did, and if he had told me to put my shoes on, I would have been like, oh, fair enough, yeah, I'll chuck my shoes on, and I probably would have taken them off the whole later, but there was no problem because I showed up as me.
Mm.
And it showed him there was no problem because his problem was a concept, not a truth, you know? So is that helpful or was I just talking
Yeah,
shit?
no, that makes sense. Appreciate it.
That was a nice answer.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks,
And
man.
you're so good at talking. Like
Yeah.
he just loves, and
That's
I
my
love it
favorite
too.
topic.
We have I feel like sometimes we want to watch something and we're like, we come home after a long day or we've been outside all day and then we're planning to watch a show and we're very excited to watch it. And then Grayson will be like, can we wait for us? Like, can you wait? We've put in the show on because I just want to talk to you first. And then we'll have some time where we can chat to each other. But I love asking him questions. I love talking to him. I love hearing his perspective on things. And because I think what you say is it's so full and it comes with so much passion and you're truly living it,
Mm.
so I feel like
Yeah.
all your answers are great.
Bro, just do the things that you know in your heart you want to do. And then when you feel the tension
Mm.
of fear or resistance or judgment,
Questioning.
utilize that the same way as I fast, just let go. And you know what I've learned about the more I be myself, it happened to me in my rugby career, happened when I was a kid at school, happened at Pure Sport. The more I just be me unapologetically by going inward and knowing that me, my true self is love and love will do no harm. Love
Mm.
is true. Love is good. And the more I do that and go inward and let go of the fears and insecurities, what I find is people come, man, they ask me questions. They're like, oh, well, what's it like to do that? Or,
Mm.
like, and then you realize by being you, you become a beacon of pointing others just by living it to
Yeah.
just, hey, you be you too. And like I feel like when I was in school, when the teachers would tell me off and shit, and they were trying to make life shit for the students and stuff, I just stood up more and would have more fun and get more cheeky to them and fucking do more of what I wanted, even to the point where I'd get in trouble and sacrifice myself. Because I actually, looking back, I feel like I was just wanting to show the other kids and myself, nah, guys, we're good. Just be ourselves.
Mm.
Everything's okay. And we all got to do that in this society because workplaces will try to limit us, uh, governments try to limit us, education systems try to limit us, farmer tries to
Even
limit us.
people closer to you, I
Yeah,
feel
your
even your
family.
family, your friends, even people you think are your friends,
Yeah,
maybe
man.
your partner, like it's everywhere. And I think if you can wake up in the morning and you have, like intuition is a big one too. I feel like you need to be able to find that, like that feeling and that kind of that voice that is you that tells you to go do things. Some people are so far from that. Like some people are lost their intuition completely because they rely on like apps and like phones and fucking people telling them what to do. Like they're nothing if their 9 to 5 job is gone, if their phone stops working, if their computer. And I feel like even doing that, turning off your phone, going outside, going walking for a coffee, leaving your phone at home, finding the directions on your own, taking a random train, like those kind of things. Like I feel like that's all a very good start. Like take the leap, like do something, trust yourself, like go out and see what it is that you actually want to do. Yeah.
I used to do this thing when I'd get mad fear and insecurity about like an unknown element of life, like career or relationship or family or health or anything that was like persistently coming up and like making me feel afraid or whatever. Um, I would then sit with it and I would like pick it apart and I'd be like, so what would be the worst possible case outcome if that was true, if that did happen? And I'll be like, take me to that point in my experience right now. And I remember I do, I like sit on my stairwell and just be like, I'm fucking had enough of this thought fucking bogging me down, like keeps coming at me. So I'm gonna sit with it and go and be like, if that is what happens, if that is the truth, who am I? What will life be? And I would like go to that scenario and it would be, something like fucking I lose everything or like I don't have enough money to pay my bills because whatever like shit that go on in your head as fears. And I would go to that experience and then I'll turn inward to be like, and who am I? And I'll be like, I'm still me. I am not defined by anything. I am still good. So then when I face bam, it's gone. And anytime that you can do that and you can face that and you can see who you are is not defined by anything in this material world. Doesn't mean we don't face sadness or pain or but it's an opportunity to let go and see for yourself that here and now is you're always complete.
Yeah. That was a cool answer. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I see that our bro Alexander is back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna
Yeah, so
you.
I wanna ask something that will echo what gentleman before me kind of asked, and much of what you said, Grayson. Our digital virtual relationship started with me trying to phrase a question I didn't know how to ask, and I'm going to do a similar thing now. You spoke a lot about living from within, living from truth, living from intuition. That's something that is like very apparent when you watch your stories, you listen to you speak. Even when as a individual who partakes in the conversation, looking at you guys as a couple, as two individuals sitting next to each other, there is an attention with which you listen to Isa, and there's an admiration with which you look to Grayson while you guys individually speak. It's beautiful to see. The last conversation we had was with Will, and I didn't feel comfortable saying it then because it didn't intuitively didn't feel right. But the record that the Will is going for next month, I've had my eyes on for 2 years, and the Germany run was my prep run for Australia. And here's the thing: I've learned with P61, my Germany run, that in aspiring to do something really, really big, where the outlook is bleak financially, physically, all you know is this little thing within you that it's just like, this is right. The intuition. I found that in the process of P61, of running across Germany, of preparing for that, I kind of really got lost in trying to be as regimented as I possibly could, trying to be as available as I possibly could be, as disciplined as I possibly could be in all areas of life, in punctuality and all these things. And a lot of intuition kind of fell to the back. Living from intuition fell to the back. I like to get up. I like to wake up when I'm done sleeping. I hate waking up to an alarm clock.
Yeah.
I despise it.
Mm.
And I don't want to do the same mistake again, but I'm also aware that Will fucking Gooch is running across Australia. So if I want to break that record, I have to move like a motherfucker. So I guess I want to say my experience with really trying to achieve something has been that that thing, or perhaps just the process of trying to achieve it, will force upon you a resistance that will perhaps test, okay, how much of you are you bringing to this, and how much of you are you trying to artificially bring to this? And I don't know, man. I think intuitively, when you were just speaking now with the other guys and answering questions, I felt like a little, a little visceral worry. Like, oh yeah, this world record is ahead of me. I want to smash it out of the park, and I feel as though that is calling me, so that's why I want to do it. But at the same time, I want to live. I want to wake up when I'm done sleeping.
Do you have you heard people ever tell you to trust the process? Because I feel like that's such a it's sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Like I don't wanna, like be I don't know. I want to say something valuable, but for me, what it would come down to, because even to hear you speak about it, I feel like your passion is like I I buy it, like I know how much you want to do this, and I know you can, and I feel like there's gonna be a right time for you to do it. So I don't feel like you'd necessarily. I think that it creates a even a bigger like hunger or a feeling that you want to do it. Like that's so cool. Like it's cool that it kind of like makes you start work now instead of in 3 weeks. But there's still, like, in my opinion, I feel like when it's your time, it will happen.
Mhm.
And I feel like you're ready for it. So to be open to something like that, to expire the way that it's supposed to, like, yeah,
Mhm.
Grayson's got better.
No, that's great. I can really relate, man, like to where you're coming from because when I was a professional rugby player, um,
Even now,
yeah,
even
like
now a lot.
yeah, but just I think we can all relate in different ways. Like we get fed this concept that like outcomes or achieving great things comes from discipline. Um, and discipline is a concept made up on behalf of the idea of separation and individual, like being a separate entity. We always need to bring it back to here and now. Like here and now is what's true. So you being you and allowing now to be now is the answer. Like like the idea of breaking a record, and I hope I don't mean that, well, like I don't mean this disrespectfully, but like the whole thing's made up. So don't like enjoy, like it's like life's a dream. It's a
Yeah.
big game. It's a big game. Like I was obviously, I refer to rugby because that was a big experience of my life, but you can take these examples and utilize it in anywhere in life. It's all the same thing. Like rugby's no special or different than anything else. It's just my experience of it. It's my example. But like I was involved in some teams. I played international rugby. I won a gold medal at the World Series Sevens at Twickenham. Um, won a Junior World Cup. Won a national provincial comp in New Zealand. Uh, like played in some decent fucking things. And like, there's a concept that shit is the be all and end all. when you're within it. But the truth is, none of it matters, bro. It's all made up. It's a big game. You know,
I
even pure sport. I used to have these calls with the board who were like these 60-year-old multi-millionaires, and they didn't understand how I operated. They thought because I was me and not trying to put on a character of seriousness that they thought I didn't care. I fucking cared, bro. I was giving my heart and soul to that thing. I lived and breathed it. But I lived and breathed it as me, which is what allowed it to be me. But they thought, because they didn't understand that, because they lived life via concepts, that I wasn't serious. So they used to come on these board calls and try and strike fear into me about being afraid of this outcome and making sure I apply myself to this, that, and the other. Because if I don't, we might run out of money or da da da. And I'll just sit there afterwards and I'll be like, well, even if that is the case, that's no way to fucking go about it. That's not fun. Like, I'm here to enjoy my life, bro. You know? So, like, and we do, like, life's not just easy, life's tough too. You know, like, there's challenges within it. But, like, don't attach to the concept of the outcome being meaningful to your value. That is just an added layer of expectation and seeking that's away from the truth. If you're open to life and allow yourself to flow in the ways that are true in the moment to moment, you open yourself up like you don't know. Like your whole idea of what you're doing might shift if you're open to life. But if you're rigid in that, like being all that it is, you might close yourself off to that. And if that's the case, that's the case. That you're going to do it, and that might open you up in another way. But like, all I would say is, just laugh at life, man, and be like, I'm gonna fucking run across Australia. What the fuck? How has life given me that opportunity?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I'm fucking gonna do it and
And
see where it takes me.
I do think that, like having big goals for yourself and wanting to do things in a certain way, in a certain time, or making it look a certain way, I think that's good. Like I do myself do that all the time. Like and it's not as anything as crazy as what you're doing, but like I do like that. It creates, eventually it will come to life. You're like, even how we started this conversation, and your words have power. The things that you bring into your head, they'll live there. There's literal seeds that you're planting, like you'll start communicating with people that are, or the little actions, the things that you'll do in your day-to-day life, they'll kind of like, help in that process. Like they'll, make that dream eventually come true. And I think it's sick that you have this drive and this, like, even hearing you talk about it, you're so passionate about it. And then I feel like if that's all there inside you, that's all that you're feeling, and it's what I'm seeing in you too. Like it's gonna happen, it will happen. If it's not now, next year, next month, like whenever, wherever, like it's just a matter of like trust and being here and not up in your head about it, and just letting it play out exactly as it should. And it might not be Australia, it might be running across America, might be running the whole length of Africa, might be doing something completely different, but there will be a time and place for it, I think.
Yeah,
Oh, I know for sure.
yeah. Just enjoy whatever you're doing, like even the
Yeah.
hard shit, and just be like, it's the attachment to the outcome being
Yeah.
meaningful that gets in the way. So, because for example, when Will did 4830, he was still a full-time employee at Pure Sport, and then he obviously had to take whatever that 30 days a month off. And then when he came back to work, he was he did not know what to do with himself, because he had given all this time and energy and effort to that, and then it was just done. And now he's back working in this co-working space with me, trying to build this business, having to do shitty, trivial tasks that aren't that fun. And he's like, fuck. And that's an opportunity. life showing us, hey man, like none of it is that big of a deal, you know, here and now is what's true. So, and I know Will's taken that and that served him. So all of life is opportunities and blessings to understand more clearly who we are and what life really is. Because no, you know, like, yeah, no moment is actually more important or meaningful than another. Because they're just not the fucking dictator of who we are. So if you can go inward in any moment and know yourself, that knowing of who you are is as complete now, sitting in this room right here, as it will ever be, no matter what you achieve in life. Know that, keep going to that, keep referring back to that, and that will inform all of your expressions in life. And even if you're out there in Australia and then you fucking bam and you part way through and you might have an insight and be like, I'm out, I'm fucking done. Not saying that's all heaven, but you just be open to life.
I lived on the road for 14 months. I did this solo hike across Europe, and much as you spoke, or much of like as Isa spoke of you, living without the concept of calendars, for example, I walked from country to country with absolutely no plan, and my memory of those 14 months is so much more literally colorful than a year and a half of what happened afterwards when I returned home. Memories are much more colorful. People are much more nuanced. And yeah, I kind of want to find back to that and implement that while trying to do something no one has ever done before with the Australia one being the case. I don't care about the record itself. Like you said very, very openly that the attachment to the result itself is almost a downfall of the intention. I agree. I don't care about being faster than Will or Ned or anyone else for that matter. I don't really care about my name being the name to have done it the quickest. All I know is that there is something extremely primal and extremely, I have to say it this way, feminine about Australia calling me. And yeah, man,
Just roll with it, bro.
Yeah,
just
just roll
fucking
with
do
it
your thing,
and
man.
make it happen then.
But either
Yeah.
way, bro, like just have fun, man. And like obviously, if you do it, just dive in and like see where it goes, you know. And but yeah, I mean, yeah, you're good. You're on the right track.
man,
Just
appreciate it.
yeah. But I think just keep questioning where it's coming from and why, and then and keep turning inward to the knowing of yourself and all that you do, and that will just continue to inform the direction of what we're doing. All right, brother.
Stop touching my computer.
Oh yeah, sorry, use your mouse. Stuart, we got you.
In the other call, you would say, moderator.
Yeah, moderator.
And he would put me to work. Bye, Alexander.
See you, bro.
Bring Stuart up to the top. If you can unmute yourself, Stuart. Yes, we got you.
Okay, guys. I did pop something in the chat. I don't know if anyone's had a look at it. About 0 and 1. Basically, it's what most of the conversations everyone's had today. Everything's focused on the masculine mainly, where obviously Grayson knows that from rugby and sports, and Alexander with what he's been looking at as well. And we just default to doing, pushing, keep going through whatever it is. And it's less is more. You've got to connect more to the feminine side, the 0 of stillness, thought. That's where the creation comes from. The masculine's the doing. When you try and keep pushing, you disconnect yourself from your own soul intelligence that you're in a knowing. And that's actually what religions have done. They've just done everything and got rid of the the feminine side of it. They've tried to probably say Holy Spirit or whatever you want to call it, but that's the biggest thing. It's what I've definitely seen myself over the last few years, especially, but especially more in the last few months. Let's say less is more. I've got to say my sort of routines in the day now. I'm normally I wouldn't have a call at this time of night either because I'd have already turned my stuff off a lot earlier.
Oh,
Splitting up my day more, making sure that I don't overdo, because you need that time to reflect, to see if you need to reset somewhere or realign. It's more about getting your alignment right in the directions of actually truly what you want. And again, if you're not focusing on the outcomes, because it's all about the processes, your lovely partner said earlier, that's really just, I mean, I say, have a quick read what I've put in the chat.
Yeah, it looks, I was trying to read some of it when you put it in there. And I think it all, for me, like even with a lot of the beautiful books that Grayson reads, like it all, I feel like there's a very strong thing that ties it all together. And it's just a moment of reflection, you know, taking time to stop everything you're doing, to just sit still and to just be present. And I think there's a lot of different ways for people to find that message. There are a lot of different tools that people use to get to that, you know, to get to that understanding. And I think it's cool. It's beautiful because what you share with us right now, it might be helpful for someone else. It might be a beautiful, I feel like it might be a something that speaks to them because it works different for everyone. I feel like Grayson really likes his books and he likes his uh these really really beautiful quotes that he reads in the books that sometimes all he needs to do is he sits down and he just, you know, like takes his time to, he reads one page, sometimes he reads 40 pages, sometimes he sits there and he stares at one of the pages for like 2 hours. Like so everyone has their own way of bringing that presence and bringing that moment, you know, of you kind of like sitting still and reflecting. And
Well,
yeah, and I'm happy that you found something that resonated with you and something that spoke to you and brings you back to that or brings you to that point. I think it's cool, and I hope it might speak to someone else.
more of an actual truth than a
Yeah.
belief, or because belief straight away means that it can be true or not true.
Mm.
So it's either true or not true. Otherwise, you're living in duality.
Okay.
And that's where I say tools or techniques or strategies, yeah, that'll lead you down the garden path of disconnecting you from your. If we're all one consciousness, that's just something to sit with and think more.
Yeah.
Because we're all
I might have not
interconnected.
used the correct
No,
words,
Issa's
but
intuition is so good, man, with this, and she's so helpful for me because she sees when I'm in, because when I'm struggling, I'm in that what you described there as that masculine action, like when I feel unsure, insecure, and I'm not able to see what's really going on, that I'm up in my head, and um I just want to fix, or take action and resolve whatever the fuck I think it is that's the cause of this. Whereas actually there is no cause. It's just life showing me I'm living up in my head trying to get an outcome to feel okay. And Issa's always really, really good. She said, like when she sees me in that, she's like, why don't you go outside, leave your phone, go for a walk, or go have a coffee, go do a workout, just be, do whatever you want to do, go put your bare feet on the ground or whatever, and just be, and maybe you'll see it differently. And you know what? She's right every time. Every time. You can't go wrong with that. So no, I think the way you described it there in that box is really cool.
it's a cool, it's something that I'm reading for the first time, and I find it very interesting, and it makes obviously it's facts, it makes sense. But yeah, what I was saying, so some things land different with some people, and I think if you there it in my opinion, essentially it's all about the same thing. and especially when we're talking non-duality. And I love that, you know, like this might be a pointer, or this might be something that speaks to someone more than a Ramaha Maharshi quote would. Or I like that. I like that. It's cool to read about this. I find it very interesting. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, beautifully articulated. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you, Stuart. All right, I got one question in the chat box, and that's from Riley. We spoke to Riley earlier, and that's book recommendations or inspo. And I think I'll have Grayson answer that one. And then I feel like you also need to take this time to show some of your stuff that you've been working on, because we've had a really exciting day today, and we've had a lot of samples coming in. Grayson has been working hard.
Okay. Okay, let me just caveat this. I do not recommend reading a book to find the answer. Like, my number one thing would be just sit like what Stuart said, just rather than go and fixing, seeking, action mode, turn inward to the source and observe from that. Ask yourself, who am I, and go inward. And then these books are books, if you can see how battered they are books that I just find that they're the most pure like, I enjoy reading. Like, these are like beautiful books, man. These books.
Okay.
So
Is everything in mirrored? Yeah, everything's
I got
mirrored.
the Bhagavad Gita. This is the Penguin Classic.
I'm gonna write it in
It's
the chat.
it's like written in the most, it's like a divine story that points us to the essence of life. And it's really beautiful. It's about a young boy in a battle, in a war, and then like a figure of consciousness or the divine comes to him in the middle of the battleground. They're having this dialogue, and it's really beautiful. This book is called I Am by Jean Klein. This is I think one of the most eloquently beautiful books written to point us into the understanding of our true nature. Beautiful book. This one,
this cover so many
this one
times.
is called Who Am I by Ramana Maharshi. It's funny because like he looks nothing like my dad, but when I look in his eyes, I feel the love that I feel that I know from my dad. And it's such a simple book, and there's no fluff and no nonsense in this book. It's not going to feed anything to your ego on an idea or a like tool. It's just pure, like, your ego won't want to read this book. It was a great book. This book is the Tao Te Ching. It's by the famous Chinese dude Laozi. Way of the Tao, I think, is he's a Tao cat.
Tao Te Ching.
But you know, another, like, they're all saying the exact same thing, but just because what's true is from truth, and if it's expressed from truth, then it becomes a pointer to truth. The words are not truth in themselves, they're pointers. Truth is within you. And then another one is The Nature of Consciousness by Rupert Spira. I really love Rupert Spira. He's another beautifully eloquent writer. He actually was a disciple of Jean Klein.
He also does, for the people who are interested, he does these beautiful meditations. He hosts them in like an event space or something with a crowd. But they're all recorded and they're on YouTube, and they're actually really, really good. If you ever find yourself like looking for something to help you or calm down, or make some space for yourself to reflect and sit, they're very helpful and really, really beautiful to listen to. And he does this beautiful thing where he speaks, or he asks questions, or he talks and he says some really interesting stuff, but then he's quiet for the next like 5 minutes, so you have so much time to sit with it and reflect.
And I think the biggest thing is, like, don't let the mind do what it does, which is attach a seeking via these kind of explorations or books. It's like the conceptualization of meditation as a seeking to get somewhere. Or you know what's happened in the world of running when people say, oh, running brings me peace. It doesn't bring you peace. You know, like it's just an expression. So the knowing of yourself is all that we're ever searching for. And that's nowhere to be found other than being that knowing. And these books are beautiful pointers to that. So those are my recommendations. And then one other cool book, my good friend Garrett Kramer, he's written a book in the same vein as these ones that has a bit more sort of like maybe like modern day relativity. He works with a lot of pro athletes in America. It's called True Self. You find that on his website, garrettkramer.com.
I'll put that here too. Sorry, I wrote them all in the chat box for people to see.
Yeah.
Garrett with one T. I always write his name wrong. Garrett Kramer. There we go. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up, I think.
Yeah.
What do you
And
think?
Stuart, I think you mentioned that you'd written something, eh? Maybe if you chuck that in
Sorry,
the in the chat, Stuart, because that might be something cool for people to go
Is he
check
still
out
here?
too.
Oh yes, there is
Chuck the
Stuart.
Tyler your book or where people can find it in there. All
Yeah,
right.
oh we've got one message from you, Stuart, that was a direct message, so I'm not sure if that's
Okay, cool.
okay, not finished yet,
We'll
won't be
do
long.
at some point there'll be a call and we'll put Stuart's link up.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was I really, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you,
Me
Issa.
too.
Thank you for being Issa
Thank you for being
and being the
Grayson.
best. And yeah, really appreciate you guys and get you these shoes soon. And these clothes and these hats, and if you like them,
Then
get them.
hopefully we'll
If
be
not,
doing
I'm still your friend.
hopefully we'll be doing some traveling and some, create some space to meet some of you guys as well. I think it will be
Yeah.
that's what 2025 is all about for us. We're trying to be everywhere. We just spent 3 months in Spain. Now we're going back to London. We're ready to do some exploring and bring some people together. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys.
That's it. Thanks everyone.
you.
Hopefully
See you
see you
later.
at the
Thank
next
you.
one.
Bye-bye.
You guys. Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye.